Erlangga Hartarto said that domestic tourism policy would be encouraged to strengthen short-term recovery.
Due to the ongoing pandemic, the government has not been able to confirm when policies related to foreign tourists can be restored. In the MNC Group Investor Forum 2021, Coordinating Minister for the Economy Affairs, Erlangga Hartarto, explained that the problem of opening doors for foreign tourists cannot be done alone. The Coordinating Minister explained that the access to border opening must be done bilaterally because it involves two countries in the process. Until now, Indonesia only has travel bubble agreements with a number of countries related to essential businesses, so that in the short term, the government will optimize the role of domestic tourists to restore the tourism sector in stages.
For tourism, I think what we have to do is for returning the domestic demand. And to return the domestic demand, I think it is important to work on protocol. The government, actually, with Ministry of Tourism, are working on a package. How we make a package between tourism and also to improve the herd immunity and to make traveling is safe for everybody.
In addition to encouraging domestic tourism, the minister also emphasized further stimulus efforts in the tourism sector. Erlangga also revealed that he would encourage further policies in the tourism sector, which will be issued in the near future. From Jakarta, Prasetyo Wibowo for IDX Channel.
The Economic Observer assessed that the government must encourage the economic scale of tourism sector by boosting a domestic tourist. One of the strategies is opening the COVID-19 green zones and continuously providing incentives.
High rate of COVID-19 transmission globally made the tourism sector as the last sector to recover. Economic Observer assesses that one of the efforts can be done is by starting to open the tourism destinations in COVID-19 green zones. The opening must be accompanied with strict supervision. In other words, local approaching can be one of the government strategies to be able to open tourism or at the low rate of COVID-19 transmission.
Aktivitas wisata setempat ya dalam ruang yang lebih atau dalam jangkauan yang lebih localized, yang lebih kecil, itu tidak dalam bentuk besar. Jadi artinya secara parsial dan localized itu beberapa tempat-tempat atau daerah-daerah wisata yang berada pada zona hijau sudah mungkin bisa pulih lebih awal ya. Tapi untuk mengharapkan kemudian pemulihan pariwisata atau peningkatan kunjungan wisatawan.
It is certain that large number of tourist visits is difficult to occur in the near time, so that the government stimulus is important to restore the tourism sector and must given priority. From Jakarta, Prasetyo Wibowo for IDX Channel.
The Finance Ministry ensures that the consolidations of state budget will be carried out in line with the recovery of the national economy. In the midst of pandemic, the government has explained that it will continue to encourage the recovery of public consumptions and also investment.
The economic recovery policy, which consumes a lot of the state budget and makes the deficit even higher, is certain to continue in the direction of consolidation. In the MNC Group Investor Forum 2021, Deputy Finance Minister Suhasil Nazar explained that the government has issued a lot of fiscal stimulus to encourage faster economic recovery. Suhasil saw that the state budget policy aimed at stimulating a gradual recovery in the private consumption sector. With the various incentives provided, it is hoped that confidence in consumption will improve, so that investment will start to grow and spur economic recovery. With this, the Ministry of Finance sees that the direction of fiscal consolidation is still in line with the current recovery.
So, as consumption is improving, investment is improving, export and import is improving, the role of the budget will have to be more consolidating. But during the time like last year when the economy was very much under pressure, the budget will be at the forefront. So this is the role, this is the idea of the fiscal consolidation that we put in. In the meantime, we are doing that by having expenditures that are increasing.
Suharto also ensures that the government will gradually push the state budget to a healthier direction. This is also done to maintain the sustainability of long-term development. This year, the government is targeting economic growth to reach 5%. From Jakarta, Raharjo Patmu for IDX Channel.
The Indonesia Investment Coordinating Board, or BKPM, is optimistic that Indonesia's economy will be able to rise after the existence of the Government Regulations Number 7 of 2021 concerning the convenience, protections, and empowerment of cooperatives and MSMEs. Through these derivative regulations of the Job Creation Law, BKPM is confident that MSMEs will rise up and accelerate Indonesia's economic recovery.
The government issued Government Regulation Number 7 of 2021 concerning the convenience, protection, and empowerment of cooperatives and MSMEs. This regulation is believed to be able to increase the role of MSMEs because this regulation is seen as supporting MSME actors in carrying out their business activities. The head of the Indonesia Investment Coordinating Board, or BKPM, Bahlil Lahadalia, said that this regulation would make it easier for MSMEs to do business, starting from the ease of legality in terms of establishing a limited liability company, business registration number, guidance to meet product standards, and exemption from licensing fees. Moreover, even though he is sure that giving the registration number will be completed in 2 to 3 hours, this makes it easier for MSME players to get access to capital by making informal MSME become formal.
Fokus BKPM dalam meningkatkan daya saing UMKM, yang pertama adalah kita memberikan perizinan berusaha dan insentif bagi UMKM. Jadi izinnya cukup NIB, tidak perlu notifikasi, jalan barang itu, paten. Itu bahkan mungkin 2-3 jam udah selesai itu. Jadi saya harus jujur mengatakan bahwa kita harus bagaimana memikirkan 64 juta UMKM yang 50%-nya itu informal. Jadi kita formalkan supaya mereka mendapat akses perbankan. Yang kedua adalah kemitraan UMKM bagi pengusaha besar, itu dalam Perpres nomor 10 2001, kemitraan dengan usaha besar yang memperoleh insentif.
With this regulation, Bahlil also stated that the government would provide facilities for financing and capital, supply of raw materials and production process to improve the quality of human resources. From Jakarta, Ade Firmansyah for IDX Channel.
Market headlines will be right back after this quick break. Stay tuned.
Presiden Joko Widodo sempat menyoroti kelangkaan kedelai yang ada di Indonesia.
Urusan yang berkaitan dengan tahu dan tempe, kedelai menjadi masalah juga karena tadi yang saya sampaikan.
Hello, I'm Clara Antawijaya. I'm Associate Producer and News Presenter on Market Headlines. As Market Headlines starts at 4:30 p.m., which is in line with the closing market, therefore we summarize market conditions only for you. And my job in here as a journalist, I give concise and accurate news for the audience. And also, being a journalist is not only a job for me, but it is also a passion.
Pasar modal dihebohkan dengan aksi influencer dan selebriti yang membuka suara dan merekomendasikan saham di publik.
Influencer atau public figure ini mulai berani berbicara di ruang publik, berani menginformasikan terkait portofolio saham.
Itu bukan endorser atau influencer yang mempromot perusahaan tersebut.
Kemarin kan gue cuma cerita pengalaman gue aja, ini bukan endorse, pengalaman gue aja. Intinya jangan
Welcome back to Market Headlines. People's purchasing power is still weak as the result of the pandemic, and therefore government gives many stimulus and incentives to people so that the purchasing power can be boosted up. But however, Economic Observer finds that there are flaws that cover the National Economic Recovery Program. A year after the COVID-19 pandemic, Indonesia is still struggling in accelerating national economic recovery. Economic Observer at Core Indonesia, Muhammad Faisal, appreciates a number of government steps in dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, although there are a number of improvements that must be made quickly to maintain the people's purchasing power, especially the speed and accuracy of the distributions of the assistance.
Dalam PEN itu sudah relatif luas, ya, sudah cukup luas, mulai dari upaya untuk memperbaiki dari sisi demand, termasuk juga menjaga daya beli masyarakat, sampai kepada penanganan dari sisi kesehatan, ya. Namun kita tahu bahwa dalam implementasinya memang masih banyak yang harus diperbaiki, masih banyak kelemahan yang harus diperbaiki, ya. Satu misalnya dari sisi kecepatan distribusi bantuan, ya. Lalu yang kedua juga permasalahan ketepatan sasaran gitu ya, di beberapa program terutama yang menyasar kepada kalangan bawah, ya, termasuk mereka yang terdampak pandemi dan kehilangan.
Never underestimate the power of people's purchasing power. Let's break down Indonesia's economic compositions. So domestic consumption's contributions reach 59% of the GDP, and the government spending in 2020 was only 9.92% of the GDP, and investment only 31.73%, while export and import contributed 17.7%. So a large portion belongs to domestic consumption, and that's why people's purchasing power is really important. It can save the economy, but the question is, how's the conditions of people's purchasing power in Indonesia? We can assess that through Indonesia's Consumer Price Index, and therefore let's take a look in the next graphic. Through the next graphic, we can see Indonesia's Consumer Price Index within month-to-month realizations. In the December 2020, we can see that the number is the highest among all by 0.45%, but however, it declined to be 0.26% in January 2021, and it weaker again by 0.1%. Here by the latest data in February 2021. Even the head of the Statistic Indonesia, Suharyanto, said that people's purchasing power in early 2021 was still influenced by the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on the economy. This pandemic has caused people's mobility to decrease, economy goes stagnant, income has also decreased, and revenue have become weak. In short, inflation in February 2021 was 0.1%. And a number lower than the previous month's inflations of a 0.26% month-on-month. This inflation rate that was lower than the previous month and the same month in previous year means that domestic demand is still weak. And BPS also monitored cities that contribute more on Indonesia's Consumer Price Index. So let's see through the next graphic. Through the next graphic, we can see that some cities that contribute the Indonesia's Consumer Price Index. First of all, we can see the highest inflations goes to Mamuju by 1.12% inflations among other 56 cities that experience inflations. However, when we talk about the highest deflations in here, we got Gedung in that North Sumatra by deflations of 1.55%, which in the 34 cities, there are deflations. Why is it Mamuju? It's because the earthquake that occurred in Mamuju and Majene, West Sulawesi earlier this year made Mamuju city record the highest inflation rate in Indonesia. Also, inflation in Mamuju city has been driven by fish commodities price hike. Moreover, we also know that fish is a staple food and that's often consumed by the local people there. And while the highest deflation occurred in Gunung Sitoli, as mentioned before, by 1.55 month-on-month, month. And deflation is in the city because a decline in several commodities such as red chilies, fish, and also chicken meat. Well, of the 90 cities monitored by BPS, 56 cities experience inflations. But then, what has made inflation in Indonesia? Here it is in the next graphic. There are several major contributors on the current inflations. Through our screen, we can see what are the contributors of Indonesia's consumer price index. First of all, we can take a look at the household sector. That is contributed by increase in wage of the household assistants. And moving on to the second sector, which is the food sector. It has supported by the decreasing chicken and egg price and also with the increasing fish meat price. And when we talk about the third sector is that the transportations, which is the increase of toll road rate in the 6 provinces and also the increase in the flight price ticket. And the Ministry of the Public Works and Public Housing has issued a ministerial decree regarding the tariff adjustment for each of the toll roads above since 2020. Starting from January 17, 2021, there has been a hike in several toll roads, so the average increase in February was higher. And therefore, toll road tariff increase contributes to transportation sector inflations of 0.04%. And still from the transportation side, there is a hike in flight ticket price as well as contribute largest to the total inflation. And speaking of which, other than consumer price index, there's an index that can measure the people's demand or purchasing power. It is the PMI index. So the PMI measures that the activity level of purchasing managers in the manufacturing sector. Bigger number means that our manufacturing activity is more hectic. It means that more people can afford things so that manufacturing industry proceeds to supply the goods. So let's see Indonesia's manufacturing PMI through the next graphic. Through the next graphic, we can see Indonesia's manufacturing PMI. So by the recent data, we can see that in January 2021, the number is still good, above a 50, which is a 52.4, and the index moving slower in the February 2021 by recorded data by 50.9. And the index is still good because it's still above 50, but then recent data shows that the pressure on the purchasing power remains strong as indicated by the contractions in the retail sales figure. In addition, decline in core inflation confirms that the purchasing power is still relatively weak. Mirai Asset Securitas economist Anthony Kevin said that the manufacturing PMI level, which is still at the expansive level, clearly brings a good news because the manufacturing industry contributes around 20% of the national GDP figure in 2020. And back again, the key is COVID-19 handling. Let's imagine the worst case scenario. If the number of new cases increase rapidly in the coming days, social restrictions will be put in place, which in turn can disrupt the supply chains. It means that people's purchasing power can be weaker. And yes, viewers, we hope that the government can put more efforts to increase demand again, increase people's purchasing power, and boost household consumption's performance so that economic recovery can be achieved and we may get out this pandemic as soon as possible. And yes, stay tuned on Market Headlines because we will be right back after this quick break.
Bagaimana tanggapan dari pengusaha dengan angka ini?
Tentu membuat kita harus lebih berhati-hati.
Langkah apa yang tepat?
Jadi kita harus bisa menunjukkan kepada masyarakat bahwa vaksinasi itu penting.
Street kompak menghijau pada akhir perdagangan Jumat lalu di mana S&P 500 mencetak rekor penutupan tertinggi. Kita akan review bagaimana pergerakan indeks nanti begitu pada saat opening market.
Kalau melihat beberapa minggu ke depan itu cenderung turunnya konsisten atau tidak?
Kalau kita lihat dari segi global memang akan sangat mempengaruhi, apalagi kemarin dia
Saham MNC Land atau KPIG kembali lagi menjadi jawara, naik hingga 34%. Menteri Kesehatan Budi Gunadi Sadikin menargetkan vaksinasi COVID-19 di
Welcome back to Market Headlines. Let's take a look at Jakarta Composite Index and trading movement. So earlier today, JCI was open at a level of 6,359.77, and then approaching the closing time in the first session, the index was on the level of 6,370.64, and then the index was showing strengthening trend by the second session closing time. The index was closed at a level of 6,376.76. In short, JCI went up 0.28%. And next, we're going to see the sectoral movement. Leading the dynamics of today's trading, we got Music Industry as the leader of the strengthening trend that went up 1.68%. Finance went up 1.16%. Basic industry went down 1.09%, and trade went down 0.94%. Moving on to the top gainers and the top losers, here are the key highlights from today's trading sessions. We got MCOR that went up to 24.05% to the level of 196 per share. We got BEKS that went up 20% to the level of 114 per share. And we got from the banking sector, BBRI that went up 1.04%, and BACA that went up 4.38%. Meantime, for the top losers for today's trading sessions, we got BBCA that went down 0.21%, and we got ANTM that went down 1.1%, and we got Bank that went down 5.41%, and Telkom Indonesia that went down 0.58%. And next, we're going to see the intraday movement of rupiah towards US dollar. So rupiah opened at the level of 14,302. Rupiah was also showing strengthening trend towards US dollar and was closed at the level of 14,238. In summary, rupiah went up 0.48%. Gedung plans to increase the capital of its subsidiary, Surya Doho Investama, by 1 trillion rupiah. The additional capital is intended to support the constructions of the company's airport in Kediri, East Java.
Gedung plans to increase the capital of its subsidiary, Surya Doho Investama, by 1 trillion rupiah. The additional capital is intended to support the construction of the company's airport in Kediri, East Java. Gedung Corporate Secretary Heru Budiman explained Gedung will increase the capital investment in the subsidiary through the purchase of 1 million new shares issued by Surya Doho. With this capital participation, the paid-up and placed capital of Surya Doho Investama will increase from 4 trillion to 8 trillion rupiah. This capital deposit will be made in stages in 2021 and an initial deposit on March 2021. According to Heru, this capital increase aims to support the continued development of the integrated airport in Kediri, East Java. This airport was built by Gedung and Surya Doho Investama. Recently, PP Presisi through its subsidiary has been appointed as the main contractor for the construction of Gedung's Doho Airport. The contract value reached 1.9 trillion rupiah. From Jakarta, IDX Channel coverage team reported.
Moving on to agriculture sector, palm oil company Sawit Sumbermas Sarana has prepared a capital expenditure of 550 billion for 2021.
Sawit Sumbermas Sarana is now concerning about non-planting developments such as machine maintenance factories, road constructions, plantations maintenance, and fertilization. It can be seen on how company allocates more capex on these non-planting development rather than planting, which is its core business. Company assess that non-planting factors support increasing operational activeness and maintaining good product, which led to result a premium price. Therefore, the company has prepared a capital expenditure of 550 billion rupiah for 2021. From all sources, IDX Channel.
Step aside from market conditions as coronavirus pandemic takes a big role on current economic situations. Here it is an update data about coronavirus globally. And the news close our market headlines today. Please enjoy our next program on IDX Channel, your trustworthy economic business and capital market channel. I'm Clara Antawijaya. Have a nice evening and stay safe.
Pasar modal dihebohkan dengan aksi influencer dan selebriti yang membuka suara dan merekomendasikan saham di publik.
Influencer atau public figure ini mulai berani berbicara di ruang publik, berani menginformasikan terkait portofolio saham.
Itu bukan endorser atau influencer yang mempromot perusahaan tersebut.
Kemarin kan gue cuma cerita pengalaman gue aja, ini bukan endorse, pengalaman gue aja. Intinya